Hey everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to share an update. There are actually two updates today. So the first one is about the Todos application. So this was more like a personal project for me for a really long time, and I was just working on it on and off once every quarter ish. And the goal was just to make an application that would make it easier for me to share collaborative lists with my wife. Think about groceries, for example, think about stuff to do, chores, house chores, etc., and then track them all in one go. So what I did was I just built a basic TypeScript application for the API, and then I built clients in Flutter. And this was the website, because I think I pushed the website development to the last. I did not really put any thoughts into it, right? And it was just like, okay, the application is available. You can, oh, sorry. Yeah. So the goal was like, it's available on Android. It's available on, it's not actually available on Apple, all the Apple platform. It was just on the on Mac OS. iOS was not approved. Then Windows, Linux, I plan to do it, but now I think it's going to be even challenging for me to publish the application on Linux. So I'll have to rethink this one. And then there was like this about page, contact page, privacy terms, and frequently asked questions. It was a very simple application. It still is a very simple application. I think the development was a little bit challenging, plus not having enough time to do the development was a big hiccup. Then this year I thought, okay, hey, you know what? There are users on it. It's not like there's no user on it. There are about a few hundred users on it who are using it. And besides, of course, I also think, okay, now I need to improve some of those things which I was used to, like, for example, real-time notifications. That was part of it, but I was just not simply enabling it in the front end. You can just reload the page to update it. Or some other minor things, especially on the user interface side. So I asked my brother to look into the application part, but for the website, I thought, okay, maybe it's about time that I update it. So, so what I did was I actually used Node.js and Pug for the templating, and I just used Tailwind CSS to build a rather very simple interface for, or more like a landing page for this website. So two things actually changed. One, I updated the website itself, and two, I Dockerized the entire application. The challenge that I was seeing was, one, the application was no longer just one TypeScript application. There were different dependencies for the database layer, for the services, for email communication, etc. All of them were different versions, and managing them all in one go was getting a bit difficult. So I actually have a staging environment where I perform all the test cases, and then I release it once all the test cases pass. So on the staging environment, it was causing a lot of issues to me to even run all the test cases, or even to publish it. Sometimes it would say Lodash is not available, or something else is undefined, or this version is not working with that version. So I was like, you know what? Once I have the application running on my machine, I would rather have it working on the next machine as well. And what helps you run an application that runs on your machine on another machine? That's Docker, right? Containerizing your application. It was a hassle. I had to spend like about a few days getting the Docker stuff together. Then I hosted it on Azure, used the Azure Container Registry to publish the application through the Azure DevOps CI/CD. And now here we are. Right now, what happens is if I need to change anything, I can just do it in one place, and then it's reflected on the staging environment. Then it is promoted to the production environment. Now this one is a bit more simpler. If you see, like, there is no icon here, but there's title. There is icon here, but no title. Of course, I can easily change the layouts. And since now the application is Dockerized and it's just published out with the tag, it will work just fine. I just improved something like, okay, what it is about on Android, what's going on here, Windows, Mac OS, and you can just go open any of these pages. So for example, you can go here and you can download it for your Android platform. Fun fact, this is saying 500 plus. At the time of this recording, it's like 14th of February. Oh, it's a different day. Yeah, right. It's a unique date to remember. So it's about 500 plus downloads right now. It's above 900-ish, so it should be saying 1000 plus. So this is gonna be my first application reaching 1K plus downloads and installations. That one, then same. It's also available for Windows platforms as well. I don't want to change anything. The user interface changes are also coming. So most of these pages, they will be updated. They will be more responsive. The user management, account management flow is also being updated. Then the application is also on macOS. I'm not sure if we'll be releasing it for iOS though, but I'm sure we'll be reworking all the existing clients. I've improved some pages. I've also added an FAQ for what is available, what is not available. Of course, I'm also working on a roadmap. I'm also working on a changelog. So I did add a changelog which shows, okay, which version of the application this is, what is changing. There was actually recently a major incident due to a misconfiguration while I was working on this that caused some issues for some user accounts. And I apologize for the inconvenience. I think this was the first inconvenience in about more than a year to anybody. So apologies for that. I really hope it won't happen, but knowing engineering, it will happen. And I think my job would be to minimize the impact on the users. But I think I'm trying to sort of like add all these details here. So FAQs, if you still have any questions, please let me know in the comments or reach out and I'll be very happy to add them here or address them in a different manner. So for example, if you think the product needs to change in one way or another, I'm all ears. So yeah, that was actually the first update. I reworked this and I really hope that it feels a bit more natural. And the second update, which is a continuation of the previous two live streams, which was about using a shared hosting space. So I've been using Namecheap's shared hosting space, still not a sponsored video. It's just like my own review, my own experience that I'm sharing here. So if you remember from the previous ones, like this was blowing out of proportion. Same for CPU, number of processes, CPU usage, entry processes was also blowing out. All of that was going crazy because of a lot of PHP scripts that were being run, some websites that had shady scripts in them, some cached resources that I don't know who was caching. Maybe it was the PHP scripts. I still don't know actually who was caching because I did not spend time on sort of like digging it through, but more like reviewing. Okay, if I just keep a track on what's happening in the file system and removing any bad actors, what would happen? And I think I've been using it for a month now actively. I actually have this cPanel tool, this tab actually open in my browser all the time. And I would say I'm actually happy now. I would have to take my words back, what I shared about a few weeks back, right? And I think I'm actually very happy with what they're offering. Like, I think this subscription has unlimited domains, databases, bandwidth, etc. So it sort of like justifies the use. But I think the only thing that you need to be mindful about is how you use it. If you leave the door open, somebody's gonna break in and then the landlord's gonna throw you out. That's the only thing. Now, one thing that I shared last time was, and you can also look at it here. So what was actually happening was there was like a lot of this traffic that was like, it didn't make much sense. Like some of them actually did make some sense, but like for example, from this part onwards, like I know when this was happening in July, it was like 74 gigs. There were some websites that actually needed this much bandwidth, but some did not need that much bandwidth, which is shown here. But then again, 87 gigs. And then all of a sudden it blew up to like 142 gigs. Like it did not make any sense, right? Where was this one? So for example, this one, your gift suggestion, or this one, this was a calculator application, fair enough. Same for this application. So most of these applications did not even need that bandwidth. The problem was not just bandwidth. The problem was these were scripts that were running and they were causing these spikes in bandwidth. So most of the application would not even load. And around this time, when I started my own website, afzalahmadzishan.com, around this time, I saw that, okay, even opening a single page takes a really long time, even though it is taking a really long time, but I don't think it's that bad, honestly. It's just the first request. And yeah, so that's when so this was the time when I actually cleaned a lot of the websites. I removed a lot of them, and then I cleaned up another time here. So if you look at the difference, so from December it's 36 gigs, because I think in December what happened was I did it, I cleaned it up towards the mid of, so if I reopen the page, you will see like the second time it works just perfectly. And this was, for example, the production data loss for Todos application. So for those, if you want to see what really happened, what was the incident, here's more about that. Here's also the roadmap that I have for this one: improving the user account management, improving the task management, and also the state management, and sort of like just making sure the application functions as expected. It doesn't break on you and it delivers the results that you expect. And then furthermore, I think the website is performing just fine. Then yeah, like for example, if you see here in December, around mid of it, I actually removed a lot of the websites. Then in January, there was a lot less traffic. And then if you look at it in February, because I think in January, again, I closed and removed a lot of the websites. And then if you look in February, it's 14th February. So it's like mid of February, and it's just 2 gigs, about 1.88 gigs, right? And the most traffic is actually from my own website. I'm actually very active on the website right now. I'm trying my best to really share frequently. So yeah, I'm trying to share quite frequently and making sure that there's a like proper content that is being published here from my expat life, from development life in general. And so if you want to support me, I don't know, maybe just click subscribe here. I don't know if you want to do that, but otherwise, I'm actually very happy with this result. Like, I really don't want to blow out any resources that I do not need, and this really addresses that. So for example, if you look at it now, it's like really smooth. So from this moment onwards, it's like there's no load, no stress on the infrastructure. And I think that's how I like to do things. I prefer to do more with less resources, and I think that's what's being justified here. So there were like in January, or for example in November, 57 gigs of bandwidth was used, but there was little value for the viewers. But now less resources are being used, but I think there is more value for the users because there is a communication going on. And for example, like this one, for example, as an expat, I have to send money to my family back home, and there's change in how the fees are calculated. So I'm sharing more about that stuff. So yeah, I think this is good. I think now I'm going to change my opinion that I had back then, that no, shared hosting does not make sense. But I think shared hosting makes fair bit of sense for you to get started and see, okay, what happens. For example, if my website really blows out and there are like hundreds of users every day, I think I can move it to its own dedicated hosting on Namecheap. I've been working closely with Namecheap's support. For example, just a few days ago, I also set up my own email accounts there. For disclosure, this is not sponsored or anything. I've been using Namecheap for a really long time, so that's why I'm just talking about them. But yeah, so I just reached out to them, and their support, live support, was very helpful in helping me set up all the email accounts, getting them configured on the local clients as well. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the Namecheap, and I'm gonna stick with this shared hosting plan as well. Yeah, I think those were the two updates that I had. Another one that I have, it's not really about the twodos application or this shared hosting plan. It's just more about the development part. Some of you know that I started a Python bootcamp, and then I gave up. Actually, didn't give up. It's more like I had to switch some plans, which is why I only published 2 episodes. I had the entire curriculum, I had the entire course material ready for the entire bootcamp for Python 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue and actually restart that. So previously what I was doing was there was a student gathering that I would be teaching. But this time I think I know there's not going to be many students interested in Python 3. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do a live stream like this. Sort of like teach Python 3 live to nobody, right? Because I mean, even right now there's nobody. I'm just looking at myself and talking. And then I'm gonna release all the resources. So there's gonna be a Python notebook which talks about all the concepts that we learned, exercises for the reading material, and also a presentation document, a presentation file, a PDF of the PPT file for you to do further reading. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna sort of like continue what I started and then deliver on it, so then you can still get some value out of it. Now I know AI is actually going very crazy right now, and not many people think that they should be learning to code, but I think coding is more like a skill, right? It's more like how your brain thinks about stuff. When you go outside and you look at trees and you're like, oh, okay, what sort of tree is it? Does it have 2 branches? Does it have more branches? Do children also connect with other trees, etc.? So you get what I'm saying. If you don't get what I'm saying, okay, I understand you. But if you get what I'm saying, then yeah, I think coding has more to do than just writing code that builds or writing a script that executes. And so for that, I think I'll still continue teaching. Those are the updates that I had, and I'll see you next time.